Get in on the action and make your bet with Sports Interaction. Summer is heating up with baseball. Can the Jays make a run at the division?
Oh, no.
Yeah. Hey, but you can bet before the game, whichever way you think. Live and in play in all your favorite teams and hot dog contests. Woo! Woo! SportsInteraction.com/STPN or download the app to get started. It's 19 plus. And what do you have to do, Steve?
Please play responsibly.
Now, Luke Fox graciously put together a list of the top 10 unrestricted free agents, still available. The first one is one that the Leafs were sort of linked to for a bit, but I think it's probably too far gone at this point with their cap already being $8 million over, is Matt Dumba.
Yeah.
28 years old, right shot defenseman. How the hell is he still available?
No one's got any money. Mm-hmm. I don't remember if it was CJ Show or 32. CJ Show works for us, so I'm going to say it was CJ Show. When the cap only goes up $1 million, that's only $32 million extra dollars across the league.
It's a good way to put that.
Yeah, I had never thought of it that way, and that's nothing. It's nothing. If there are 4 more $8 million players than there used to be, gone. So it's so wild. It's so wild to me
that he would be available. Yeah, considering what he could have netted the Wild in a trade at the trade deadline. This it's a valuable piece. Obviously, the Wild want to bring him back. I wonder if
I would have preferred him to Klingberg, but he's probably more expensive.
The Coyotes have been pursuing him.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they're one of the few teams with the cap space. I wonder if he goes there almost like a Klingberg situation in Anaheim, only I expect the Coyotes won't be as depressing this year as Anaheim was last year. And then they move him at the deadline.
Yeah, it looks like one of the situations where the money kind of runs out and he's got to do a very short-term deal to try and get back into free agency.
I think it'll be at least 2 years. Because I think the Coyotes are done with the mercenary thing.
Yeah, but I don't think if they want Matt Dumba to sign with them, why would he sign with them when the cap's going up next?
Why would he lock himself into 2 years with Arizona?
Well, because they can give him a lot of money. They have all the cap space.
Yeah, but I would take a shorter or less amount of money in shorter term so that I'm free agent when the cap's a little up. And
I'm looking for 6 to 7 years next summer if I'm Matt Dumba.
I could see that. I could definitely see it. I just think the Coyotes want to compete, and I think they'll be aggressive about it.
Another team I think you should keep an eye on, a couple teams, are the Blackhawks and the Red Wings. The Blackhawks are clear. We know what the Blackhawks are doing. They're doing sort of what the Leafs used to do. It's like bring in these guys, let them have a ton of ice time, and then pump and dump them at the deadline. And it's great for the team acquiring them because they get a good player. It's great for the terrible team that gets the bunch of draft picks and prospects and whatever in return. The Blackhawks are doing that. The Red Wings are more of a, hey, we're trying to get better now. And I do feel like Matt Dumba fits that. Don't you think?
Yes. Where's he playing?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah, the weird thing about the Blackhawks is they have 4 defensemen signed and 3 of them are right-handed.
Wow.
So it's kind of filled out right now for Matt Dumba. But he would fit perfectly on that team because, like I said, they have 4 defensemen. They need another guy, but they have so many right. Maybe they switch somebody to the left side. You're an NHL player. Maybe you can play both sides. But
they could make a trade, too, for somebody. Yeah. Who are the right shot defensemen they have signed?
They got Seth Jones, Nikita Zaitsev, Connor Murphy, and those are their 3
they didn't have to do that Zaitsev deal.
There's
Why did they
a really
do that?
good chance Zaitsev doesn't even play.
That's true. There's room on this team for Matt Dumba. It's a good place for him to go because he's going to be surrounded by some young talent. And like you said, it's a pump and dump situation for a lot of guys in Chicago where they have 3 forwards signed through next year and 2 defensemen.
Man.
The rest are UFAs and RFAs, and then everybody else is out the door.
Detroit makes some sense, guys, because I'm seeing on the right side here, Sider. Hall, Sherratt. So if you can move Hall down, ideally to the third pair, and Sherratt's your 7 guy, right? He's expensive for a 7 guy.
So much.
Yeah.
Okay, Oli Mata then. Oli Mata's on the left.
I don't see it. I think it's going to end up being Arizona.
Yeah.
I just don't.
I'm trying to expand the look.
Don't rule out Chicago. I think
I won't rule them out.
They have 4 defensemen. They need to go shopping for something.
If you're Matt Dumba, so again, we're talking about Klingberg, right? Let's look at what happened to him. He went to a really bad team, got lots of opportunity because he was on a really bad team, and he had a bad season because he was on a bad team, and His value went from 7 million to 4.15, right? So Dumba, I don't think wants the same fate. You go to Arizona, pretty good chance you're running their top power play, which will at very least feature Clayton Keller. You know what I mean? Probably a couple really talented young guys. Better situation than the Ducks was last year.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, this is how many times are you going to hear me go to bat for the Coyotes? I think this is a better situation for him. That definitely not Detroit.
Right. Yeah.
They sort of made their bed with the Hall signing.
Yep.
Ottawa did too.
Chicago could make some sense.
Ottawa did too with Travis Hamonic. And I guess that they can't spend that much money, but like, I mean, Ottawa would make some sense, don't you think? Like
Hamonic makes less than a third of what Hall does. Isn't that nuts?
Justin.
Hall makes 3.4.
Justin Hall.
Justin Hall, sorry.
Yeah, I don't
Hall
know.
makes 3.4. I do not, more than maybe any other free agent, I don't know where that number came from.
Well, his agent deserves a definite raise. Now let's move on to the next one here. Patrick Kane. Now it's fascinating because he wanted to be a Ranger. He got to be a Ranger. They didn't quite get there. They didn't quite get to where they wanted to go. But I'm wondering, like, okay, so they've got. Does he? Yeah, he's got. He's coming off the hip surgery. He played pretty well. Is there a chance that Buffalo takes a shot at a guy who, frankly, is from there? I don't know. I don't really know where to place him. Like, I have no idea where a guy like that would want to go. And who's going to have the room? Because again, Buffalo's got about $5 million in cap space, but I'm sure they could move somebody. If he wants to. And what's his number anyway?
I don't think we see Patrick Kane signed till December. He can't play. He's out 4 to 6 months as of his hip surgery. So that's mid-June, I think he got it. So let's say he's healthy by like October, November.
American Thanksgiving-ish.
Yeah, around there. So we're getting to like the December range that I'm talking about.
Between the Thanksgivings.
Yeah, somewhere in there, he's kind of healthy.
Season.
At that point, you kind of pick and choose which team think has got a best chance at a Stanley Cup, plus the $1.5 million, $2 million that you might sign for. If league min's all they have, then that's it. Maybe it's a Blake Wheeler type deal because he's made his money. He's good. He just wants to go play it somewhere to win. And
I respect what Blake Wheeler did, honestly.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
there's probably more money out there for him, and
Of course.
And there
took a
probably
little
will be
deal.
next year, too.
Of course.
Oh yeah. But I think it's similar situation with Patrick Kane where he waits till the season starts. It's already there, and you jump on a team that looks like they're going to be a contender.
The next one is Vlad Tarasenko, another right winger, another former Ranger, and it looks as though they're leaning right now towards the Carolina Hurricanes, but we know the Senators, the Islanders, and the Kraken have all made offers, and the offers have been, if reports are to be believed, some are as many as 3 or 4 years long.
Still a great player.
He is.
Right?
So it's fascinating to see a guy like Tarasenko available, and he's 31. And what's that number going to be, too?
There's very obviously a lot of unfinished business, and we've hit a bit of a logjam or bottleneck, whatever you want to call it. There are some teams who did virtually nothing in free agency, and I don't think it's because they didn't want to. Seattle, who did they really get? I'm trying to think.
No, but not.
Who were their big names?
I don't think there were any.
Right? I wouldn't call them a loser of this deadline, but like it sure seems like, think of how hard we just tried to figure out where Matt Dumba's going to go. Right? Like right-handed defensemen are at a premium, but they've also run out of homes.
Yeah, if CJ did say on the podcast, he's like, you don't sign July 1st, you really run the risk of not getting a contract.
And the reason I bring up right-handed defensemen is Erik Karlsson is rumored to be going to Seattle. So
That seems like a foregone conclusion at this point.
there's a few things really holding everything up, and that might be the biggest one because we know what's happening. And the Sharks, like, you look at teams that are going to bottom out this year, there's not nearly as many candidates as there were last year.
Because there's no Connor Bedard at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah, but I can see the Sharks bottoming out pretty hard.
Well, they need to.
Well, they also just don't have an abundance of talent
On the next on the list is Patrice Bergeron, who I think if he signs, he's going to go back to Boston, so we can move on from that.
I think Tarasenko, by the way, I think Carolina Hurricane. You know?
I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
they have the room; they're going to do it.
I think you're right.
I also think that for whatever he doesn't bring defensively, Carolina does.
They don't need it.
No.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about the way the Hurricanes are built is you can bring in guys like D'Angelo, I guess. They like him because he's cheap. Plays no defense.
Burns.
You could bring in Brent Burns, who also wasn't known for staunch defense.
No.
D'Angelo, by the way, isn't a Carolina Hurricane because
not till July 9th.
They're not allowing it. It's what day?
4 days.
4 days. It's
July
still,
5th.
it's
Happy
still
Tony
not allowed.
D'Angelo Day. It's July 9th.
He's not a Hurricane, you guys.
Number 5 on the list is Thomas Tatar. Now, he plays right and left wing. This is a guy that had 20 goals, 48 points in 82 games last year. And, I think it's interesting.
20 goals.
Yeah, he did. He did. And he only scored once in the Devils playoff run for 12 games. But if you're looking for depth scoring, and when I say depth, I say, I would say middle six, like low top 6, high top 9. Does that make sense?
What a weird player.
Weird player, because he's gone to a bunch of places. He's clearly valuable. Like, look what Montreal gave up for him.
Pretty consistently.
Or, sorry, Vegas.
Pretty consistently not really looked at or depended on. In
He plays
playoffs.
zero defense. That's why.
Thomas Tatar is 32 years old.
I know.
That's insane to me. He was on the 2010 Red Wings.
Jesus.
What?
Remember he emerged out of nowhere? That was a crazy
Played
run.
9 games for the 2010 Red Wings.
Wow.
I had no idea he was this old.
Yeah, man. He's been
Wow.
around for a while. He played for the Good Wings.
The Good Wings. That was a run they went on, that team. That was a crazy run.
Of course.
Another one that people don't pay enough attention to, and it's actually surprising given who Detroit picked up, the Pius Suter, who's a guy who can play depth center and left wing. 14 goals and 24 points last year.
We're going to hate that you called him that.
Why?
Puce.
Oh, okay. Well, is it Puce?
Puce.
Oh, I've actually heard people call him Pius.
I know.
Puce.
Because that's how it's spelled. But
Well,
Puce Suter.
okay, well, there you go. Listen, I'm actually kind of surprised. Analytics loves this guy. Middle 6 kind of center. Like, is he all that different from David Kampf?
That's sort of the first guy I thought of. He's just, there's just not a ton there, but if you need an abundance of nothing to happen, he can be pretty good for you.
You do need busy nothing players
You do need busy nothing.
who do something,
Who do something.
right? David Kampf kills penalties. That's, I think, the reason they locked him up. And I also think, you could do a lot worse than $2.5 million over, in the next few years on the cap. But it does make me wonder, had Toronto waited, could they have gotten a better deal at that position? Closer to the 1.5, maybe $1 million range for a 1 year.
No one's as good as at defense as David Kampf.
DK?
Yeah.
I liked him in
DK 1D?
He was one of I don't know, 4 good Leafs against the Panthers.
Right. Martin Jones is somehow still somebody that people want. 887 save percentage. I don't think he's had a save percentage.
Is he signed?
He's not signed, but there are
Well.
apparently people talking about him. And the one that keeps coming up is Tampa for their backup goaltender situation. Watch, they'll turn him into a really good goalie.
They signed someone too as
they?
a goalie, and I remember being confused. Who'd they get? Who's Tampa got in net?
I'll tell you in half a second.
Yeah, Jesse's looking it up right now.
I do think it's quite funny that Martin Jones is like, he's been bad for so long, but there are certain people, and I think Cam Ward was the last one where, they have a couple of runs and then everybody remembers them for the couple of runs that they had. But let me run you through Martin Jones' save percentage since 17-18. His last great year in 17-18, 915 save percentage with the San Jose Sharks. He was 30-22-6, 255 goals against average. The next year, 896. The next year, 896. The next year, 896. The next year in Philly, 900. Whoa.
Ew.
Still below average, but better. And then in Seattle this year, an 887, despite going 27-13. That Seattle team was really good.
It was so good to start too.
He had a good little run for a couple of months there last season. You're thinking of Jonas Johansson.
Right,
Actually,
and he's not going to play higher than 3rd.
No, he's there like going to be their third, fourth goalie, maybe.
Yeah.
You know,
I just find it funny that with a guy like Jaro Halak or even Alex Stalock available, that Martin Jones would be coming up before those guys.
Halak's a little older.
Stalock had a good year.
Yeah, he's got the injury question. Let's be honest, Tampa's going to end up getting one of those guys. Here, wait. I do have a great tweet.
Oh, give it to me.
From Acton of Foolaman. I am truly fascinated how Martin Jones keeps getting work. In the last 5 years, there are 56 goalies who have played at least 100 games. By save percentage, Jones is 56th. And then he has a follow-up tweet. Maybe he looks better by advanced metrics. He does not. So mean.
True. I've never understood it.
he did win. He did win a lot of games for Seattle last season.
It means something?
Yeah. It's like
But also-
it's like pitcher wins. They don't really mean a lot, but
Well-
they kind of do mean a lot if your team keeps winning.
Here's why it makes sense for Tampa, because they, like Seattle, are strong team defense.
You need a
You can
goalie.
work. Yeah, but Seattle managed to make that work. And Tampa, I think they have more high-end superpower stars, no question, but they are a full team. You know what I mean? So is Seattle. I can see it.
The way Vasilevsky spoke after this past season, and, oh man, I played a lot of games, and I don't remember.
That was your choice, Andre.
Well, yeah, but you should maybe look into getting someone who could, can you take, I'm not saying, drag Vasilevsky down and all of a sudden he's a 45.
Can he be a
game
55
goalie.
guy?
Yeah, we're talking about going from 60 to 55.
Martin Jones, I think he said, he had 27 wins this year.
Yeah, can someone take an additional 5 games away from Vasilevsky? That's the sort of guy I would look for if I was Tampa.
Okay.
Might win a cup.
Looks like it's Martin Jones. 38-year-old, and they used to say his name wrong in the video games, Zach Parse, or Parise for the rest of us. We don't know if he's going to retire or not. Lou Lamoriello did say there would be a spot on the roster for the Islanders if he didn't retire, and his cap hit last year was $750,000. But I wonder, are the Islanders where he wants to play?
Here's one. What if they've already signed him and Lou Lamoriello's just being difficult to get?
That's probably could be that. Yeah, get an announcement in training camp.
That's 100% what's going to happen.
Another guy with surgery and injury questions and long COVID, unfortunately, too, is Jonathan Toews. This is a guy who is he's deliberating his future, according to Pat Brisson. But if he does play, even if you hit your biggest expectation of him is 60 games and 25 points, there's a lot of value to what he brings defensively. And I think there's a reason why he was considered, the best center in the league for a little while there in terms of what he brought on both sides of the puck. Obviously he's, in the Sidney Crosby era. So Sidney Crosby was the best center in the league, but you know what I'm saying, right? It's sort of there's something that Toews brings in terms of intelligence. The Blackhawks, off ice issues with the obvious aside, there was never anybody saying that he was a bad leader in the locker room in terms of playing. You know what I mean? I know it's an awkward statement to make, but it was never he's never been accused of some of the things other captains have.
Yeah, no one should be confused about what we're saying.
Yes.
Winnipeg is an interesting fit.
It's from there.
Yeah, hometown boy, but also there's a voice vacuum left by Blake Wheeler's absence. Mm-hmm. And, whether you think that voice was a good one or not, that's fine, but the voice is gone, right? And do other voices get louder? Do you want those voices to get louder? Mm-hmm. Shifley, potentially. The Jets, Friedge was talking about they just want to breathe. They just want to take a moment. At some point, you're going to have to get back to action, though.
Yep.
Yeah. And you also got to sell fans on the season.
Yep.
Here's what we're going to do. Right? So I don't know if it's the best for the fan base to have them sit all summer. Not only do you not know if Shifley's coming back, but you don't know if Hellebuck's coming back.
Yep.
Right? I don't think that's the best situation for anybody. So at some point, they're going to have to get back to action, make a decision with those guys, and maybe bring in Toews.
I think retirement's on the table for Jonathan Toews.
It probably ought
he's
to be.
35. You missed the entire 21-22 season. At this past trade deadline, you were so injured and banged up that there was no market for you and you couldn't be traded. It's got to be a serious consideration for him at this point in his career.
Like Adam just mentioned, a 60 game, 25 point player. What are you gonna be a third, fourth liner on another team for? Retire a Blackhawk.
Yeah,
leave that legacy.
It's not even like you look at like the games played and all that. It's the body miles that Jonathan Toews has more than like any other player.
Well, you're borrowing when you're an athlete. You're borrowing against your future too, right? You're
the back end of your life.
Being an athlete is, I don't know if you realize this, horrible for your body. And a lot of people don't look at it that way, but the way that they train and the physical punishment that they take, watch Shaq walk.
Oh, dude, meet any older athlete. Older hockey players, except for Gary Roberts. Older hockey players, I wouldn't classify him as older, but I'm talking about guys like 60 and up. Older hockey players have simultaneously more and fewer knuckles than the rest of us. I don't know how to describe it other than like their hands are fucking huge.
Yeah.
Swollen, don't bend.
Yeah.
And that's just the hands.
Yeah. You got to get into yoga after your career.
Yeah, the amount of back problems.
Back,
it's terrible.
Yeah.
Ankle, all the scars age too.
Yes, and you have to break up the scar tissue too. You got to go for treatments to do that.
But like even on the face, I'm saying.
Oh,
like it's like your face kind of continues to grow like around the scar.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Funny with Boreas Salming, he had that big 100-stitch scar through his face, and you'd never noticed it when you got older.
Wore it.
Well, I don't think you noticed it though when you got older, right?
No, it's because it like went perfectly into like his lines or whatever.
And his perfectly sculpted face. Guy was a beautiful man.
It's the second time we brought up the Leafs Red Wings alumni game on this show, but he was the oldest guy on either team and easily in the best shape of anyone.
Absolutely,
easily.
Denis Gurianov is one that that Luke Fox brings up, and I think it's because he had a 20-goal season for the Dallas Stars 3 years ago, but is not worth the $3 million he was paid last year. What's interesting with Gurianov, and I'm actually sort of surprised that this is happening for a lot of players. We saw Semyon Durarjachenkov go sign at the KHL. That apparently there is more money available in Russia for him than there is in North America.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, is that what you want to do? I mean, that's a very personal thing, right? So if he's going to stay in the NHL, I could see Seattle being a good fit.
One last name. Oh, sorry.
Steve,
go ahead, Jess. Go ahead.
Before yesterday's show, I think it was, we were talking about SDA signing in the KHL.
Oh, that's right.
And I gave you the amount he signed in rubles, and you wanted to guess what it was in US dollars.
What did you say? 46 million rubles?
I'm trying to just get the number here. I think it's 46 million rubles. Yeah.
Because I know Radulov signed for something like, I want to say his contract was like nearly $1 billion rubles or something like that. And it's like, okay, what does that mean? I can't imagine the rubles doing too hot.
Adam, you can also get on this. So I'm going to do 46 million rubles to CAD.
It feels like
USD.
USD.
Okay.
Because that's how they all get paid.
Yeah, that's how they get paid.
I'm going to say $3 million.
I think it's less.
Holy shit, really?
I'm gonna
Is that how bad the ruble's fallen?
I'm going to say 1.4.
46 million rubles to USD is $500,000.
What?
Wow, the ruble's fallen a lot. You remember, what was Kovalchuk? I remember they had it in rubles, and it was like 21 million rubles a year, but that was working out to like $14 million or something, or whatever it was. The ruble's fallen a lot. That's crazy.
46 million rubles is 507,000 American dollars. And, that is a big downward line.
Yeah, but the economic state of the ruble.
Well, why is it spike? Like, why would it ever spike up? Who's like, yeah, let's buy rubles today?
It wasn't a very big spike.
Yeah, it wasn't a very big spike. Wow. That is some consistent droppage. Yeah, well.
You guys were a little off.
That's okay.
You lose trivia this time.
Nah, it's all right. We'll handle it.
500 grand.
One other UFA that was linked to the Leafs, and I think it's an interesting one, is for any team really, is Josh Bailey. The ability to play center, the ability to obviously play wing most of the time. He had something like, I just had his numbers up and I deleted them. I believe
8 goals, 17 assists, 25 points in 64 games.
So not great.
His defensive metrics aren't great either.
Right. I wonder if that's a guy that, goes for a league min, tries to rehab his career on a good team.
Well, at this point, that's all that's left. I can't imagine him getting more than that basically anywhere. Maybe as a vet, he gets 800, 900, something like that. I don't see him getting a job as a center. Like, let's say he signed with the Leafs, right? You have Domi, who's not even a full-time center, but he's a better center. You have Yarncroke, who's definitely not a full-time center, and I would probably be more comfortable with Yarncroke.
You got Conf.
You have Conf. Dude, even Dylan Gambrell, I think, is a more solidified
Pontus Holmberg
center at this point. Pontus Holmberg.
I think a lot of people who know are saying that this could be the year for Holmberg to break into the NHL lineup full time.
Sure. Why not? I mean, you need young value. He's making 25 grand above league minimum. Good on him. I could see that for the Leafs, but I don't even know if he necessarily makes the team at a camp. He could potentially go on waivers.
It's
tough go, man. It's hard. It's a hard league to stay in.
Josh Bailey's career was kind of trending in the complete opposite direction from where it is now during the back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals runs. He seemed like such an important piece of those Islanders teams when they were going to the finals there, and then just took a sharp downturn like the ruble in the last couple of years.
Shut up. What I'm trying to look up is, so who did he play with? Oh, it was
just the Islanders. Yeah, and then they moved him to Chicago, and they bought out his contract. So he was supposed to be signed to another season with the Islanders at that $5 million number, but Chicago took the contract and bought it out.
The one thing I'd say, just looking at his numbers, is last year was very obviously the bad outlier, and I guess teams are predicting this is just what he is from now on.
Yeah.
But I'm just looking at his last 3 seasons. This is wild. 4 penalty minutes, 6 penalty minutes, 2 penalty minutes.
Lady Bing.
I think someone can pick him up. Someone can pick him up and he could be okay. And his last playoff run, 13 points in 19 games.
And the previous one, the 20 points in 22 games.
Where was that? Oh, the previous playoff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Good playoff performer.
I mean, he's obviously got a gear, but that's also a couple years ago.
If you're one of the cap teams, this is the type of player that you try to take a risk on. You invite them to camp, and the Leafs have the advantage. Josh Bailey's from, I believe, from Bowmanville.
He's from Bowmanville.
So I think you have that opportunity. But listen, come to camp. There are spots available. Come to camp, fit and ready to go. Take advantage of our medical facilities, kind of like Tyler Ennis did, extending his career through 4 years.
Yeah.
And maybe you surprise and somebody either picks you up or we sign you to a contract and move somebody else out.
There's the Marley I see coming up, other than Holmberg, is Bobby McMahon. And I think if the Leafs signed Josh Bailey, there would still be room for that. Beyond that, you either want guys who are going to be in the lineup every night or they're developing on the Marlies.
Yeah.
So Alex Steves, I don't want sitting. I want him on the Marlies. Nick Robertson, I think what's best for him is probably, unless he's lights out in preseason, he should start on the Marlies. So yeah, this could be a situation for Josh Bailey. And I'll throw it out there because of the Bowmanville thing. Belleville's pretty close to Bowmanville, and that's where the Sens farm team is.
Oh, that's interesting.
And also, I guess you're about a quarter of the way to Ottawa. So
I think
maybe the Sens.
I think there's an NHL job for.
I think you're right.
You know,
I think
you got to give it a shot.
I don't think at this point he wants to be an AHL player.